They said I died in prison. But the truth is, they sent me somewhere much worse. I don't know how long I've been in the dark. The first thing I remember is light, brutal, blinding light flooding my eyes as the bag was ripped off my head. A conference table stretched out before me, long and polished, like something out of a Cold War bunker. The walls were bare concrete. No windows. No clocks. Just silence and two armed guards retreating into the shadows behind me. Across from me sat an old man in a gray suit, crisp and unwrinkled like it had never seen dust or blood. His silver hair was neatly combed, and when he spoke, his voice was disturbingly calm. "Welcome back to the land of the living, Vincent." I didn't answer. My wrists were sore from the zip ties. My brain was still catching up. Last I remembered, I was in my cell alone, half asleep, reading a book I'd already read 5 times. Then the guards came. No words. Just a black sack, a hard shove, and a cold van ride through nowhere. "I'm Tarek," the old man said, steepling his fingers. "I work for an organization that doesn't officially exist. And as of 12 hours from now, neither do you." He smiled, like this was a perfectly normal way to begin a conversation. "We're staging your death. Autopsy sealed. Body unrecovered. Closed casket, if that. As far as the system's concerned, you're done. Vincent Rhodes is dead. Gone." I stared at him. "And what's the trade-off?" He leaned forward. "We send you through." "Through what?" He reached into a drawer and pulled out a tablet. The screen flickered on. Footage played grainy, low-light camera feeds showing a shattered city skyline, burning vehicles, skies tinged crimson, and things. Things that moved like they shouldn't. Things that didn't belong to our world. "That," Tarek said softly, "is not Earth. Not ours, anyway. We call it Variant 13. One of many parallel realities we've recently, let's say, accessed. This one in particular suffered a biological event. A collapse. What came after isn't human anymore." I squinted at the footage. One of the creatures turned toward the camera, a face twisted, jaw split down the middle, bone and muscle pulled outward like petals of a rotting flower. I swallowed hard. Tarek continued. "We believe there's something still functional in the ruins. A core. A device. The Genesis root. We think it was designed as a failsafe, maybe even a cure, but the team that created it didn't survive long enough to activate it." "Why me?" I asked, my voice dry. "Because you broke into Avers Corporation's DeepNet servers using nothing but outdated hardware and a keyboard missing the E key. Because you see patterns no one else sees. Because you're expendable." I laughed once. A short, bitter sound. Tarek grinned. "You won't be alone. We're assembling a team. Armed support, heavy tech. But only you will be able to interface with the systems once you're inside. That's your job. Get in. Extract the root. Bring it back. And if I do, you disappear," he said. "New name. New life. Off the grid. No one will ever know you were involved. We'll even pay you. Monthly. Generously. As long as you keep your mouth shut." He stood, smoothing the front of his suit. "You have 2 hours. Gear up. Ask for whatever you need. After that, you go through." He turned to leave, but paused at the door. "Oh. And Vincent?" I looked up. "From this moment forward, consider yourself legally dead." 2 hours later, I stood in a room I can only describe as wrong. The walls hummed not with electricity, but something deeper. Like a heartbeat. Metallic grates lined the floor, cables snaking out of them like veins. A massive frame stood at the far end, circular, ringed with concentric coils and faintly glowing glyphs I couldn't read. In the center? Nothing. Just empty air waiting to be torn open. 6 others stood nearby, all in full combat gear, tactical helmets, armored vests, rifles that looked custom-built for monsters, not men. No one talked much. No one smiled. A man with a beard thick enough to eye a fist handed me a small pistol and a tactical flashlight. "That's all you get," he said flatly. "You're not here to fight." "Great," I muttered. "I'll throw sharp words at them." A few of the team snorted. Beard's eyes narrowed. "You stay in the middle. You follow our lead. You see anything move, you don't ask questions. You keep walking unless we tell you to stop. Understood?" "Crystal." The technician at the console gave a nod. Stabilizing the frame. 10 seconds. A low hum filled the chamber. Then a flash, violet light sparking along the inner rim of the gate. The air shimmered, twisted inward, and collapsed with a sound like a thunderclap reversed. And then it was there, a hole in space, circular and seething with static, deep purple light pulsing from within. I felt the heat first. Then the smell, like ozone, rust, and something burnt that shouldn't be. "Move!" Beard barked, stepping through. 2 others followed, disappearing into the distortion like stones dropping into still water. The 4th turned to me. "Your turn." I swallowed hard and stepped forward. The instant I passed through, everything shifted. My breath caught, and for half a second, I felt like my body was stretched across 1,000 miles. Then, impact. I landed hard, stumbling onto cracked tile. The sky above us was blood orange. Not red. Orange, like the world had been dipped in fire. Broken towers rose like teeth in the distance. The air buzzed faintly, and the smell was worse now, decay, metal, and something sharp, like vinegar and bile. "Where the hell?" I whispered. "This is Variant 13, Beard said. "Welcome to the end." He passed me a small earpiece. "You lose comms, you're on your own. Stick to us. Stay quiet. And pray." I fell in line as we moved through what remained of a city street. Every building looked gutted, scorched walls, shattered windows, dried blood sprayed in arcs too white to be natural. Not a single sound of life. Not even wind. Only the crunch of our boots, and that low electrical hum from the gate behind us, fading. We rounded a corner and stopped dead. Something moved at the far end of the street. A shadow, no, shadows crawling across the walls like spiders, too many limbs, wrong proportions. Then, stillness. The youngest guy in the group, Simmons, exhaled sharply. "We sure this is worth it?" Beard didn't answer. He raised his rifle, sweeping the street with the scope. And then I heard it, a groan. Long wet. Somewhere between human and not. Another sound followed, a dragging noise. Heavy. Slow. Then silence. "Get inside," Beard snapped, pointing to a nearby storefront. We moved fast, filed through a broken window. Glass crunched beneath our feet. Inside, it was pitch black. Flashlights flicked on, beams cutting through layers of dust and decay. Shelves overturned. Blood smears along the walls. Something written in red, not paint. I turned away. "Stay low. Stay alert," Beard muttered. And then, from the back of the store, came a sound that still haunts me. Click. Drag. Click. Something with too many legs. Simmons whispered, "I thought they'd be slow." "They aren't," Beard said. "They're just waiting." We crouched behind a shattered aisle display. Old cereal boxes and crushed cans littered the floor, their labels rotted and unreadable. Dust floated in the air like ash. "Where's it coming from?" I whispered. "Back left corner," Beard replied. "Near the stock room." Click. Drag. Click. It wasn't walking. It was crawling, deliberately. Slowly. Like it wanted us to know it was there. Scar, that was the guy with the long gash across his face, raised a fist. We froze. I turned my light toward the rear, squinting past a row of decaying freezers. That's when I saw it. Or rather, them. At first glance, it looked like a pile of wet meat. Then it shifted. Limbs moved not in sync, not as a unit but like separate minds trapped in the same body. There were 3 heads, fused shoulder to shoulder, each with empty gray eyes staring in different directions. One of them looked right at me. Its jaw opened. But not like a human jaw. The mandibles peeled apart vertically, revealing rows of inverted teeth spiraling inward. A sick, wet snap followed, and the thing began to drag itself forward fast. "Oh God," Simmons whispered. "What is that?" "Run!" Beard roared. We bolted. I don't remember the details, just chaos. My light swung wildly. Scar shoved over a shelf to slow the creature, but it just climbed over it, dozens of legs digging into the metal, twisting its way forward like a centipede made of people. We burst through the stockroom doors, then through another set, into a loading bay. A door on the left, emergency exit. Beard threw it open. "Move!" One by one we passed through, shoving into a dark alley soaked in foul-smelling rain. Simmons was last, but as he ran, the thing burst through the doorway behind him. It shrieked, not a sound meant for human ears, more like a scream forced through broken windpipes. It launched a tongue. No, not a tongue. A bark tendril, wet and gleaming. It wrapped around Simmons' ankle. He screamed as it yanked him off his feet. "Help!" he cried, clawing at the ground. "Please!" Beard grabbed his arm, but the tendril pulled harder, tearing skin, drawing blood. The others raised rifles, but there was no clear shot. Simmons looked up at me. "Shoot me," he begged. "Please, don't let it take me." I froze. Beard didn't. A single shot, crack. Right between Simmons' eyes. His body went limp, and the thing hissed furious before dragging the corpse back inside. We slammed the door. Then silence. No one spoke for a full minute. Rain tapped the metal roof above us. Somewhere far off, another scream echoed, not from us, not from our world. Just something else. Scar finally broke the silence. "This isn't a recon mission. This is suicide." Beard turned to me. "Still think this is about zombies?" I didn't answer. Because I already knew the truth. Zombies don't build traps. Zombies don't stalk. Zombies don't learn. We didn't speak again until we were 3 blocks deep into the ruins. No one mentioned Simmons. No one asked what that thing was. Rain slicked the cracked pavement, pooling in piles filled with ash and black sludge. Above us, shattered windows stared down like empty sockets. The city was rotting from the inside out, not just dead, but abandoned by death. Beard pulled out a worn map, laminated and creased from use. "Target buildings 5 blocks east," he said, pointing at a bold red X. "Extraction point is 2 blocks south after that." We hit the lab, grab the device, get out. Fast. "What's in the lab?" I asked. Scar didn't look up. "You don't want to know." "No," I insisted. "You dragged me into this. I deserve the truth." Beard hesitated. Then, this world variant 13 had a solution. A fail-safe. Something called the Genesis root. It was meant to reverse the spread. Reset biology. We don't know if it works. But we do know Avarice was here. My blood went cold. Avarice? The same Avarice that locked me away? Scar chuckled bitterly. "Yeah. Apparently they don't just screw over our dimension." Beard folded the map. "They built the lab. Then lost control. We're not just here to retrieve the root. We're here to keep it from falling into the wrong hands." I stopped walking. "You think someone else is coming?" Beard looked at me. "We know someone already has." We turned the corner, and that's when I saw it. The target building, 10 stories of black glass, cracked and scorched but still standing. And on the side, barely visible beneath the grime, was the logo. Avarice Corp. I felt sick. Scar checked the door. Unlocked. No resistance. Too easy. We stepped into a vast lobby, empty, except for a collapsed chandelier and the faint smell of ozone and meat. Broken monitors flickered on the walls, showing static and one lingering phrase, containment failure. We take the stairs, Beard said. Elevators were dead, of course. The stairwell was narrow and reeked of mold. Our boots echoed as we climbed, step after step into darkness lit only by red emergency lights pulsing like a heartbeat. On the 7th floor, something screamed from below. Not like before, not one of the creatures. This was different. Angrier. Aware. We reached the 10th floor. The hallway was wrong. Scratches on the walls. Deep ones. Blood smears. Broken glass. The lab door was ripped off its hinges and thrown against the far wall like a toy. Beard raised his rifle. Weapons up. Inside the lab, everything was trashed. Terminals sparked. Cabinets upturned. Files smashed on the floor. But in the far freezer, one remained sealed, frost still clinging to the glass. Scar opened it. Inside, a small metal vial, pulsing faintly with blue light. Genesis root, Beard muttered. Scar packed it carefully into a case. That's when the roar came. Not close. Not far. But beneath us. Low. Deep. Inhuman. And getting closer. What the hell was that? I breathed. Beard didn't answer. Because he already knew. Whatever had wiped this place out, whatever made those other things, it hadn't left. It had been waiting. We ran. There was no vote. No plan. Just raw instinct. Whatever had made that sound, that guttural, vibrating roar, wasn't one of the things we'd seen before. This was bigger. Smarter. Angrier. The stairwell felt tighter on the way down, the red emergency lights now flashing like sirens. We made it 2 floors before Scar, who was leading, stopped cold. Back, he hissed. Beard pushed forward, weapon raised, then froze too. I leaned just enough to see over their shoulders. It stood at the landing below us, looking up, motionless. 10 feet tall. Gaunt but powerful. Covered in pale, hairless skin stretched tight over muscle like plastic wrap. No clothes. No genitals. No face, not a normal one. Just a vertical split running from chin to chest, lined with rows of needle-thin teeth that clicked rhythmically, like a centipede waiting to strike. Its eyes, if you could call them that, were 2 glowing blue discs, wide and unblinking, reflecting our light like a predator in the jungle. None of us breathed. Then it charged. Scar opened fire. Simmons did too. But the thing didn't flinch. It moved sideways on the walls like a spider, dodging rounds and scrambling upward, gaining on us at terrifying speed. We turned and ran. I barely kept my footing, legs burning, lungs searing. Something behind me, a scream, then a wet snap. Scar. I didn't look. Beard grabbed my arm, dragging me toward the lobby. Don't stop. We burst through the ground floor and shoved the front doors open, stumbling into the rain. The sky above was bleeding, a deep, unnatural crimson spilling from the clouds. We could see the extraction building now, a yellow electronics store across the road. The word Circuit Town flickered on its side like an afterthought. We're almost there, Beard growled. Come on. A crash behind us. The creature burst through the front doors of the Avarice building, slamming them apart like tissue paper. It stopped in the street. The rain hissed on its skin. And then, something I'll never forget, it stood up straight. Not hunched. Not crawling. But upright. And smiling. Its mouth peeled open further, the split jaw revealing inner tendrils, writhing like eels. Then it shrieked. Not at us. Upward. And across the city, the dead answered. The shelf shuddered as something slammed against the glass again, hard enough to shake dust from the ceiling. Beard and I ducked behind the front counter, both of us panting, soaked, and shaking. Outside, the infected swarmed like insects, clawing at the doors, banging on the walls, tearing through whatever lay between them and fresh meat. "They're not just undead," I whispered. "They're coordinated." Beard didn't answer. He just checked his magazine. Half full. Then came the screech. The glass shattered, not just cracked, exploded inward. Shards flew across the room like knives. A mass of bodies surged through the breach. Teeth gnashing. Eyes wild. Beard fired. I followed his lead, my small pistol almost laughable compared to what we were facing. They kept coming. We pulled back, deeper into the store, through aisles of overturned televisions, broken computer monitors, toppled shelves. I thought this was the extraction point. I shouted. "It is," Beard growled. "Back room. Inventory section. That's where the portal's supposed to open." We shoved open the stockroom doors, slamming them shut behind us just as another shriek pierced the air. Something huge slammed into the other side. The door cracked but held. Beard dragged a heavy shelving unit in front of it. "Help me." We pushed with everything we had, forming a barricade. "Where's the portal?" I asked, frantic. There was nothing but boxes, collapsed pallets, and a single steel door at the back wall. "I thought it was here," Beard muttered. "Maybe they moved it." Then, a sound. A deep, mechanical hum, faint but familiar. I turned, a side wall shimmered. Purple light pulsed behind a stack of fallen crates. "There." I pointed. "It's not the door, it's behind the crates." We ran to it, tearing boxes aside, revealing a pulsing ring of violet light swirling like a whirlpool in the air. The portal. It was open. But not stable. "It's flickering," I said. Beard checked his gear. "We don't wait. We go now." A roar shook the building. The door behind us exploded. The creature entered, smiling again, now crawling along the ceiling, limbs stretching unnaturally, drooling as it saw us. Beard shoved his pack into my arms. "Go. Now." "What?" "If it closes, someone has to make it back. You have the sample. You get it home." He turned, firing at the thing without hesitation. It screamed high-pitched and full of rage before lunging. I dove through the portal. And everything went white. I hit the ground hard. The portal slammed shut behind me with a sound like tearing metal and collapsing thunder. The purple light vanished, leaving only cold air, dust, and silence. I was back. Not home exactly, but close, a holding bay, dimly lit and surrounded by metal panels and blinking monitors. A few men in lab coats scrambled toward me. I could hear someone yelling over a radio. Then I felt it, something wet. I looked down. Beard's pack had landed beside me. The vial inside glowed faintly through the mesh. But on my arm, blood. Not mine. I spun toward the still closing portal. And that's when it happened. Just as the final sliver of violet light winked out, something came through. A stinger, long, black, and pulsing, shot clean through the narrowing tear and impaled Beard in the chest as he stepped through. The portal closed on it, slicing it off, leaving part of it embedded in him. Beard collapsed. "No, no!" I scrambled to him. He was breathing. Barely. Eyes wide, blinking rapidly, confused. "I made it," he whispered, coughing blood. "Told you I would." Tex ran to his side. One reached for the embedded tendril, but Beard grabbed his wrist. Hard. "Don't touch it." Then his eyes rolled back. They rushed him out on a stretcher, yelling for containment. I sat there, shaking. I'd escaped Variant 13. But something came with us. 2 hours later, I sat in an observation room. A man in a suit, not Tarek, entered and placed a folder on the table. You'll be debriefed soon, he said. But first, you need to know something. He opened the folder. Surveillance stills. Security cam photos. All from this facility. All of Beard strapped to a gurney, screaming. His body had started changing. The tendril wasn't dead. It was growing. His ribs had split. His skin was tearing. We think the stinger carried a mutagen, the man said. It's rewriting his biology. He's still alive, but... He paused. Not for long. Or not as a human. I closed my eyes. I'd watched that man fight, bleed, kill for me. Now he was being turned into one of them. I want to see him, I said. Absolutely not. I stood. I said. Alarms blared. The man froze. Containment breach. He turned toward the glass. And then, screaming. Down the hall. Beard wasn't on the table anymore. Red lights strobed across the hall. Screams echoed from multiple directions. Gunfire. Glass breaking. Something heavy tearing through metal. I followed the noise. Not out of courage. Not even guilt. Just instinct, like a moth drawn to a flame it doesn't understand. Down a stairwell, the trail of blood wasn't hard to follow. Thick. Dark. Not fully human. Beard had broken out. But not to run. To find something. Or someone. I found him in the lower level, what looked like a decontamination chamber. The lights had shorted out. The only glow came from the Genesis root, still faintly pulsing inside the pack I held in my hands. And from Beard himself. He was hunched in the corner. Breathing. Ragged. Back turned to me. His spine wasn't a spine anymore. It had opened. Split down the center like a zipper. Tendrils twitching. His arms had elongated. Fingers jointed backward. His head slowly turned toward me, and his eyes. They were still blue. Still his. Vincent, he croaked. I froze. I can hear everything, he said. The screaming. The hunger. It's inside me, but I'm still here. I stepped forward. Slowly. We can help you. We'll find a way. He gave a wet laugh. No. You won't. His jaw cracked sideways. Bone pierced through his cheek. The voice that came next wasn't his. We came through. I staggered back. Beard, please fight it. He screamed. His body convulsed, bones snapping, skin shifting. I drew my pistol. He didn't attack. He just looked at me one last time and said, "Do it." I pulled the trigger. Once. Twice. His body collapsed, the blue light in his eyes fading. Hours later, I was in another room. No restraints this time. Just 2 guards at the door and a voice over the speaker. Tarek. You did well, Vincent. The Genesis route is secured. The breach is contained. You'll receive your new identity shortly. I didn't speak. I know what you're thinking, he continued. Was it worth it? Did we bring something back? I looked at the vial on the table. Still glowing. Faintly now. But pulsing. Like a heartbeat. Tarek's voice lowered. The root isn't just a cure. It's a blueprint. Of what's coming. He paused. And you're the only one who's seen both sides. That's when it hit me. This was never about rescue. Never about survival. I wasn't supposed to come back to live. I was supposed to come back to change. Weeks have passed. I live in a quiet town now. New name. New face. No questions. But at night, I hear things. clicking sounds beneath the floorboards, whispers in my dreams in languages I don't know. And sometimes, I feel something inside me twitch. A second heartbeat. Like something waiting, watching, smiling. I was sent into a dead world to retrieve a cure. But what I brought back might be the beginning of something worse. They thought the portal closed behind me, but it didn't. And now, something is changing. Inside me. Around me. We didn't stop the infection. We invited it in.